Hey art folks, it's Sade and I'm bringing you another paint with me video. I thought we could both do with something really relaxed and chill. And I'm really lucky and thankful that Roman Szmal sent me this new special edition Pasqualino Fracasso palette. And I get to show these colors off to you today. You guys know how much I love Roman Szmal colors. So let's just have fun looking at some colors. So the first color that we have here is Buff Titanium. Maybe this brush is a little too big and too wet for this square. The one thing I do wish that the Szmal paints had is a nicer container. I had to put these in one of my palettes because the paper and plastic container is just not work out for me. Oh, this Buff Titanium is like really good movement. See, I've only just touched the top here and it's already all the way down here. It's really nice, not like gloopy. It's not a warm Buff Titanium. It has like all Buff Titaniums, a clay feeling. It's a little greenish. It's not like what I would consider beach color. I think of warmer beaches, maybe northeastern beaches. Could be this color, not like a Florida beach or an island beach. The payoff is really good after just swiping a little bit. These ones, they seem like they worked on it a little bit. They're not quite as sticky as the first batch that I received. That is pretty darn opaque. You can see what I mean more about like this being cool and not very warm. So yeah, they're not as sticky as the first batch that I received, but they still re-wet really nicely, so that's cool. Next is Scarlett Lake. I'm excited to see how this turns out because this looks really nice and bright. Yeah, that's crazy. Ah, I missed a spot. I missed a couple of spots. Alright. But that flows really beautifully. Can you tell that I haven't done this in a little while? Yeah, this is such a gorgeous version of this color. Really nice, beautiful, bright orange. I'm excited to see this because I like how dark this clean pink looks in the pan. For transparent colors, that's really a good indicator. It means that there aren't a bunch of fillers. But this time I'm trying to make sure I don't miss any spots. This is a nice example, really cool. purpley, very floral. Somehow not as active as this. But still, like, nice, finely milled. Good example. A little dark. Not like electric hit you in your face, but I like it. And we have Mineral Violet. I talked about this on my Instagram page. I was talking about a bunch of different colors and their histories, and how this term generally refers to Manganese Violet. This is an imitation Manganese Violet with PB29 to give it that granulation. Manganese Violet is a bit more gentle than this, but I really like this color. I think it's gorgeous. I like how the blue kind of separates from under the pink. And it's so nice and dark in Nostrum. Like really eggplanty color. This is a color that makes a big difference whether you have it in dilution or you have it really straight from the pan. Seeing these colors together, the pink is looking brighter and prettier. This paper, by the way, is Winsor & Newton Artist Grade watercolor paper, the cold press. I plan on testing out basically every watercolor paper I can find and telling you all about it. Next, we've got Aquarius Black. This is a nice black color, same black color as Lunar Black. It's got great granulation, PBK 11. And it's really pretty here. That's crazy granulation, actually. That's really nice. And I like how it's not hard, because I feel like the Daniel Smith Lunar Black is a little difficult to get out at first. This one is really nice. I'm really having trouble missing spots. I see I have 2 spots missing right here, but I'm not going to disturb it. And you can really build a picture just from the texture of this black. And if you had an even more textured paper, that would be even more pronounced. You can see even more the colors separating from each other here. That's so pretty. This is Pyro Orange, P073. I've got to compare this, I think, with the shrink version that I have. I feel like this is autumn color. This is a maple tree right here. Just like subdued fire. But I feel like the Schminke version is much more like a tangerine, much brighter, if I remember correctly, I'm not sure. So far, all of these colors are really easy to wet, move really easily. Really nice to lay down. And then it becomes much more like blood orange. Not quite bloody, it's still too orangey, but blood orange color in mass tone. And we're gonna have a couple of browns. I really like the browns from this line because they have a lot of natural browns that are really different than what you can find in other lines. And you know I like browns. And I also like that they're not difficult to re-wet. So far they've also been really good with, okay, I have to say this one I'm having some trouble picking up the color. I say this after I say how great they are to re-wet. Yeah, this one is having a little bit of trouble. Overall, they've been having no problem with that at all, but this one I'm having to scrub a little bit. I know that some of the paints have a bit of a wax coating from the wax paper, and you kind of have to rub off that first layer, but I haven't been having that problem with this batch, so I thought that wasn't going to be an issue. Or I wonder if in the process of making it a little less sticky, it became harder to wet. Okay, let's try again. Okay, there you go. It's not as strong as some of the other colors, but it's there. Yeah, I feel like this one, it's definitely a little harder to get the color payoff. And the other colors, I don't know if it's specifically this pan or what, but it's still a pretty, kind of like the color of animal fur or something like that. Okay, so this one has no problem. I really love this. Really feels really earthy to me. And like very natural. Like I could see this in some dirt, on some rocks. This color peeking out between some moss. Even like the texture of it, I don't know if you can see, it's like so creamy because I mean this is literally dirt from Cyprus. Caput mortuum, one of my favorite colors in all different variations. And I really love this one from Szmal. So we'll see if I love this specific pan, but the one I've tried before, I really love it. No rewetting problems here. I think it was just that Italian burnt sienna. But yeah, look at that. This is hematite generally. Nice granulating, deep bloody, old blood as opposed to new blood. Color. And really, really thick and opaque in mass tone. Curious to see if this is gonna lighten up a lot as it dries. Some of them really do, but my favorite ones don't. A lot of times it becomes a lot duller as it dries. This is Van Dyck Brown. This is genuine Van Dyck Brown NBR 8, as opposed to a mixture of colors. Traditionally, this color comes from Pasqualino, in Germany. It's also called Szmal Brown. And it was a favorite color of Van Dyck for painting shadows. It has a curious texture that you can't really replicate with these mixtures. It's peat, actually, so it's a little different than the other ones, the other earth colors. And unfortunately, that's also why it's generally not considered light fast. I've heard some people say that it is. I don't believe it's light fast in watercolor, but it's a color that I do really like. Really nice and dark. I'm very curious to see this transparent gold ochre. It looks very interesting in the pan, like a block of mustard. You can see the separation here. This black part of it is coming out underneath. Had to have a similar feeling to like lunar black. Oh, this is so pretty. It's really nice. I can see why gold ochre. It's very creamy feeling, cloudy. It is transparent, obviously, but it kind of has like a cloudy feeling about it. It's a pretty nice yellow ochre though. Really nice and sunny. Nickel Azul yellow, another really great staple color. It's nice to have this in a palette because it's so versatile. And like you have that, and you have your Quin Pink, and there's gonna be an ultramarine. So how wrong can you really go? Besides that, you have like all these other great colors that give you lots of texture. Blah, that's acid. Oh my gosh. Super duper transparent. And you can see in mass tone it's gonna be darker. This is a really nice example of nickel azo. Yeah, look at that. Just how it jets across and like in the super light tint. It's so beautiful. I'm really loving the transparent colors from this line. And then in mass tone, you're almost getting a yellow ochre type of color. Even darker. What range? Yeah, it's really strong too. It doesn't want to get out of my brush. The blue sky is, I feel like, the most curious color to have here. This white mixture, I guess, sort of cerulean imitation. And that's what cerulean means, but why exactly when you already have phthalo blue? But I guess this is maybe a staple in this artist's painting. I mean, it could be worse. It's not. Considering what it is, it's a nice combo and it's very bright. It's not too milky. It has good movement. Curiously, a bit warmer in mass tone than in dilution, and quite opaque. And Aquarius green, one of those famous Aquarius colors, really beautiful mixtures. It's kind of like a sap green or a green apatite genuine sort of color. It just has a lot of depth. I feel like this is a really beautiful color for a forest or underbrush, and it does a lot of the work for you. And in mass tone, it's super duper dark. So really, if you work on your water control, just like with the Neglazo, you can get such a range just from one color. In mass tone, it's like a more saturated perylene green. So that's the first page. And as you can see, the first ones are starting to dry already. And some of that vibrancy does get lost, at least on this paper, once it's dry. Let's see them all when they're dry. Just a couple more. Got Hansa Yellow Deep. I'm always happy for all of these yellows. It's like goldenrod, like pollen on a bee. Really beautiful. Most of the paints have like a very predictable characteristic. Once like you know the way the transparent colors are milled, they behave very responsibly, the way that you'd expect. Not like they're all the same, but they're very easy to paint with. Sometimes you paint with colors. This is Phthalo Blue green shade. Sometimes you paint with colors and you just are like, what are you doing? Why would you do this? And I don't really feel that with Roman Szmal colors. Like, they have this really clean quality about them. And again, you have this really deep dark blue, which is what you want, and the mass tone on the phthalo color. And for it to get much lighter, and you add water. And like always, a little hard to get out of your brush, those phthalo colors. So in the swatch on the box, I'm very curious about this color because it doesn't look like the ultramarine I've tried already from Szmal, which is a really beautiful version. This looks a lot weaker in the swatch on the box. So I'm curious to see what it will look like to paint with. Okay, this does not look like the swatch on the box. That's good. I'm glad. This looks like ultramarine. Really nice ultramarine. I like the texture. I like the movement. On the box, I felt like it looked gloopy and I was a little afraid. This is much nicer. Yeah, we can get pretty dark in the mass tone. And not super dark, but pretty dark. Okay, so compare that with that, and you understand why I'm like, what? Those don't look very similar at all. Okay, and so the last one, phthalo green, blue shade. It does what it's supposed to do. What am I supposed to say? But there you go. So we're gonna let these dry and do a lifting test and see where we're at after that. Okay, we're all dry, and you can see they're not quite as popping as they were when they're wet, but they still retain their vibrancy. I really love how this Aquarius green looks. Okay, so let's do the rest of the tests. If you don't know why I do two lines, the first line is to see how much it covers up, to see how much the paint covers up the line, and the second line is so that you can compare. This doesn't work exactly because sometimes the line ends up bigger on top of the watercolors. But it's easier to see. So for example, I was like, well, this is not opaque at all, but look at how it covers up the top line. It's semi-opaque or semi-transparent. In mass tone, obviously, very opaque. So by actually having that side-by-side comparison, it's easier to tell than just looking at one line by itself. Some people might say that's overkill, but that's just how I do it. So now we're going to do our lifting test. I'm using the Rosemary Small Eradicator. I'm just going over it a couple of times. These are all lifting pretty well, even the quinacridone. I'm surprised about that. Ooh, I need to clean that off better after the Lunar Black. That didn't budge at all. Isn't that weird? Normally earth colors come off pretty easily like this. Right back to the white of the page. Yeah, like that yellow ochre completely loose. And is as staining as you'd expect. I'm actually surprised that lifted as much as it did. Phthalo Blue doesn't. Alright, so we're all set up now. So obviously this is not a full review, but it was just nice to play with these from Szmal paints again. And to see what they all look like. They're really well made paints, especially for the price. I love this Aquarius green. Aquarius green is great. Manganese Violet is great. Dyck Brown, caput mortuum. I do like this Cypress burnt umber light. This is the only color that I had some trouble with. It's not really impressive on the paper. It was hard to get out of the pan, but everything else was good. These 4 colors, especially at the end, were all really strong. And thankfully this ultramarine is much nicer on the page than it was on the box. And this just seems like a really versatile palette because you have some yellows, you have titanium, you have earth colors, you have a warm and cool red, you have warm and cool blue. So for me, I think this is really cool. I'm still not certain about that blue sky, how useful it would be for me personally. But I am looking at this here, and this is probably this is a painting by the artist who put together this palette, and it looks like this is probably either the blue sky or the cobalt blue. So that would explain that. You can really see the color choices here because like you have this bright orange here, you have that nickel azure yellow, you have those greens. You can really see the artist's preferences in this palette. And it's always interesting to work with another artist's ideas of what is cool paints and give you some new ideas for what sort of paints you would like to paint with. So I hope that you enjoyed swatching these out with me, and I'll have a full review up soon. Hope that was calming and enjoyable and that you're all safe and well. Thank you once again so much to my patrons, especially in this hard time for all of us. I have been trying to create a watercolor database, and the method that I was using before wasn't that great, but I think I figured out a good way. So I'll be posting that over on my Patreon so that I can have all of my swatches searchable by pigment number and brand and name, etc., etc., etc. And I'm pretty excited about that. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys next time. And until then, be gentle with yourself. Bye.